guys, welcome to the Migraine Scoop with Coop. That's me, Jennifer Cooper. So I've been getting a lot of questions about how the coronavirus or COVID-19 has been affecting chronic migraine patients or migraine patients in general. And so I thought I'd do a quick little video update on how it's been affecting us or not so much affecting us. I also wanted to point out that I'm wearing my Miles for Migraine medal, and I walked in the 2019 5K with a group of my very close friends, and this is something that makes me really happy because of all the things that I've done in my life, and I've done some things that I'm really proud of. Things that come to mind is I've hiked to the top of Kilimanjaro. I've gotten my bachelor's in biophysics and my master's in biomedical engineering, and those were really tough things to accomplish, but still, to me, the most challenging thing that I've done and the most probably proudest thing I've done is navigating chronic migraine and chronic illness and being able to remain strong during the worst of times. And so I thought today I would just wear this because I felt like this kind of symbolizes my strength, and I love the brain medal. And also, they're having a lot of events this month. I'm not an advocate for them. I would love to be. But they're having a lot of events this April, and they're virtual events, obviously, because we're doing social distancing right now. So I'll link the Miles for Migraine page below, and you can check those out. They have, walks, they have runs, they even have rests where if you don't feel up to participating that day, you can, just rest, but still be involved. I also really appreciate all the people who, donated to the Miles for Migraine on my behalf. It really means a lot to me. So anyway, let's get into it. So how has the coronavirus affected patients like me? And I want to hear from you guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And leave comments below. Tell me your story. How has it been affecting you? Has it been affecting you or not? I've been reading a lot of articles. A few weeks back, I watched the Migraine Summit on them talking about how migraine and the coronavirus, and in general, they say that we're not really more susceptible to getting coronavirus. And a lot of the articles that I've been reading kind of resonate to me because in general, I feel that it's no real difference. Like, as sad as this sounds, this period in my life, we already experienced these feelings. And at first I was a little confused why a lot of the rest of the world was, so frustrated and feeling, these feelings of isolation and anxiety and loneliness. And then I had to take a step back myself and figure out that most people haven't felt these feelings. Most people haven't had to, have a lot of preparation in their meal planning, in their grocery shopping. A lot of people haven't dealt with feelings of isolation. And so us people who deal with chronic illness, chronic migraine, we deal with these daily, if not weekly, if not monthly, sometimes yearly. And so we are, already dealing with these feelings. And so I had to kind of take a step back, put myself in those shoes of when I, hadn't dealt with this. And I, tried to gain a little bit more compassion to those who haven't dealt with these feelings before. And so maybe some of the coping mechanisms that I've used over the years can help others who haven't dealt with these feelings. And maybe there are, chronic illness people out there who haven't, learned how to, find the best mechanisms yet of how to deal, and maybe this will give them some ideas. And if you guys have some ideas, please, comment below and let me know what you guys do. So first of all, let's talk about the loneliness, isolation, and anxiety. This is something that chronic migraine sufferers or even migraine sufferers in general, and chronic illness sufferers, we deal with all the time. Daily, weekly, monthly, sometimes yearly. We're used to feeling those feelings. Unfortunately, there's many a times where we miss so many social events. We're too sick to even, message our friends, talk to our family. I can't count how many times I've had to cancel, on my friends, and it makes us feel so guilty. And that's not by choice. It's because we're so sick. We can't go to those events. It doesn't mean we don't want to. And I've also missed, I know we've had to postpone Christmas before, opening our gifts because I'm always the one who's sick. So there is this feeling of being isolated, in your room, at your home, and, the world goes on without you, but you are still the one who's isolated. And now the world is experiencing that isolation. And so it's very different because, you're not the only one now feeling that. And so I think that we're just used to that, and we've learned ways to cope. So some of the ways that I've learned to cope is finding things that help me through those really dark moments. I like to listen to soothing music, so sometimes I'll put on music whenever I'm, feeling really down or in a lot of pain. If I'm feeling a little bit more upbeat, but still, not good enough to go out, I'll put on some more upbeat music, some of my favorite playlists. Also, I will, if I'm feeling up to it, I will watch some TV shows. Sometimes that actually takes the pain off, doesn't take the pain away, but takes my mind off of thinking about the pain. I know for those who don't experience the pain, they may not be able to understand that, but sometimes you're in so much pain that even just laying down, it hurts too much. So being able to, take your mind off of that pain in some sort of manner. So also being able to do, a hobby if you're able to. So this is something I've started doing, is these YouTube videos. So when I'm feeling up to it, I like to, share my story and hopefully provide some insight to others and be a positive influence, and hopefully give you guys some tips and hear from you guys what your story is. Also, I am able to read sometimes. A lot of times that really hurts my eyes and my head. But on the days that I'm feeling up to it, I've learned that I can do a little bit more of that. I also practice mindfulness. So mindfulness and meditation are somewhat similar, but also different. So mindfulness is more being in the moment. It's not thinking about, what's in the past that you may have, not done. And it's not thinking about what you have to do in the future or what's coming up. And so that, I think, kind of relates to what's going on right now is, don't be so anxious and stressed about what's to come. We're going to get through this, just like us chronic pain warriors are going to get through this one way or another. We're going to have or I personally am gonna, be dealing with this chronic illness for the rest of my life, but I'm hoping to find better ways of managing it. Hopefully I'll have less painful days, less migraine days, but that doesn't mean that I'm not still anxious, but I try to live in the moment and know that, on this day, what can I do to try to lower my pain, lower my anxiety on that particular day? And I think that kind of goes along with what's going on right now in the world. What can you do to not be so anxious on, what's coming up? Is it going to end in, a month, in 2 months? Is it going to last for 6 months? Be more in the here and the now, and try to think or try to do some mindfulness. And there's lots of different YouTube videos on mindfulness. There's lots of different links and apps as well. If you're interested, I can post some that I use, but just searching, you'll find a lot out there. Another thing is being in contact with friends. So sometimes this is, really difficult for whenever, I'm not feeling well. A lot of times I'll hear from friends and family, and I'm actually too sick to even call them back or even text them at times. But when I'm feeling well enough, I love that communication. And even if I can't see them face to face, this was pre-coronavirus, I still love that communication. And even pre-coronavirus, I would have FaceTime chats with some of my closest girlfriends, and that would cheer me up. Just be able to have that, face-to-face time with them, even if I was too sick to see them. And so I think that's something that we all can, do now is, and I think a lot of people are doing that now. We're having, Zoom meetings. We're having, more FaceTime meetings. And so, incorporating that into our, daily routine, and also checking on your friends, texting them and seeing how they're doing. That is something that means the world to me. When I am sick, and I hear from my friends and family, just a small text saying, I wanted to check on you, how are you doing? And they realize that, a lot of times I can't respond because I'm not feeling well. But just hearing from them, and even them saying, I know you're having a hard time, but we know you're really strong. To me, that means the world. And also, a lot of times I've received cards in the mail from my friends, and that is some of the sweetest things that I've received, and telling me how strong I am, and that they know I'll get through this as well. And so, that's something you guys can send now too, is, cards to relatives. You may not be able to see them face to face, but you can send them little notes. And just a small text really goes a long way. At least it goes a long way for me. And I think it goes a long way to other chronic illness sufferers. And hopefully that's a way to reach out right now to some of your friends and family that obviously you can't see physically. Now, it's not the same as, getting that warm embrace. But, send a virtual hug. I know that when I go and get infusions every few months at the Mayo Clinic, and at that point I am so sick I cannot respond to anybody, but having my friends just send me little virtual hugs, or just checking on you, letting you know that we're thinking of you, again, that means so much to me. So on to the next thing is preparation. So being a chronic migraine sufferer, we always have to be prepared. This is not an option for us. I always have to have a stockpile of my medications. One, because I don't know when I'm going to get a migraine. Two, I don't know if the pharmacy is going to have my medication in stock, or if they're going to need a prior authorization. And three, I don't know if I'm going to be well enough to go to the pharmacy. And so a lot of times I also use the mail order and have my medications delivered if possible. That's not always the case for all medications, but I try to do that as much as I can, so that saves me trips to the pharmacy. Sadly, my local pharmacy does know me by name and my birth date, so that kind of makes things easy. When I go in, they're like, Jennifer Cooper, birth date. All right, here you go. So sad but helpful, I guess. So anyway, having those preparations. So it's no different now, stock up on what you need. If you need medical supplies, get what you need, and I know there can be some hurdles with the insurance, but work with your insurance. And, if you can get a 3-month supply through mail order, do that, because then you'll at least have 3-month supply of, medications that you use on a daily basis. Another thing is having those medications with you at all times. So I have those medications with me all the time. Before I leave my house, I decide what abortive medications I might need that day. I have them in my purse with me. I have a pile in my car with me, and I always have them at my work with me. And even when I go places like to a friend's house, before we had to practice social distancing, I would bring those medications with me everywhere I would go. So being prepared, I even have, medicine cabinets and drawers filled with medications of, what I might need. And so having, stockpiles and preparations of your medications. as far as food and supplies. I have always, every maybe 1 to 2 months, I order from Walmart or Target my toiletries and my supplies such as, I don't know, bathroom supplies. I even would order my toilet paper and paper towels. So luckily I have already supplies. Now, I can't go on forever here. So hopefully everyone's not gonna keep stockpiling because I am gonna eventually run out myself. But that's something I always would order online anyway, because the trips that I can save not going to the store will allow me to do something else. So whether it be me going for a walk or a hike, seeing a friend, cooking a meal, those all take energy, and it's more energy than somebody without a chronic illness. So if it allows me to do one of those things, then it's worth it for me not to have to go to the store and get those other things that I can have, shipped to me. So in these times, having those things shipped to you is a way for you not to have to go outside and expose yourself and also practice social distancing. So I think that's a really good way to, get things delivered. That also goes along the same with food. So I usually always have some sort of food on hand for when I can't cook. And that is a lot of the times. I'll have, apple with peanut butter or apple with goat cheese or something where if I just need a small snack because I'm nauseous or I can't cook because I'm too sick, then I have at least something I can eat. Now, I do like lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. That's part of one of my, dietary modifications. I mean, I've always loved fruits and vegetables, but I try to eat mostly, non-processed food. So of course that means you need to go to the store more often. But my big grocery shopping trip, I try not to do too frequently anyway. And that kind of goes along with the lines of now, try not to go to the store too frequently. Another thing that I have incorporated a few years ago is getting a meal delivery service. And I don't get it every week, but I get it every few weeks. And the one I use is called Gobble. I'll put the link below. I highly recommend them. It's not already cooked, so you cook it yourself, but they're kind of, they're not claim to fame, but their kind of tagline is it should only take you 20 minutes to cook their meal. And I would say on average, pretty much every one of the ones I've made is about 20 minutes, and they're really delicious. They try to use all local or fresh ingredients when possible, and that has been a lifesaver for me because 1, I don't have to go to the grocery store. 2, it makes my cooking meals really quick. I have a second meal left over, sometimes 2. And then it makes cleanup very quickly. Usually you only have to use 1 skillet or 1 pot, and you don't have a lot of different dishes to clean up. So that's really helped me, and they're still delivering right now. I'm still using them. So that's another option for those who don't feel comfortable going to the grocery store right now or are having trouble finding ingredients or things to make different meals. So being prepared. Another thing that us chronic migraine sufferers or chronic illness sufferers in general have had to deal with is the anxiety of job security. I can't tell you how stressful that has been. Many of us have lost our jobs over the years. Many of us have had to go on disability. And so that's nothing new for us either. That stress, that anxiety, trying to work through migraines, trying to deal with, what our bosses might think, what our coworkers might think of us when we're absent so much, and trying to, deal with that. And, we know we're hard workers. We know that we can deal with a lot. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand what we're going through because we look normal. Like right now, you might not think I have a migraine. I actually have a pretty bad migraine. Because we can fake it till we make it. And I think that's part of it, is it's an invisible illness. And I guess on to the next thing is, how has this been affecting me then? So one of the things is receiving some of my medical treatments. So aside from my chronic migraine, if you watched my other video, I also mentioned that I have chronic urticaria. And so a few weeks back, I had to get my Xolair injection, which is a monoclonal antibody to help with my chronic urticaria, which is hives. And if you saw the pictures of me, I get them extremely bad. Like, my face swells up, my lips swell up, my hands, my feet. I can actually, when it gets bad enough, I can't really walk. And then they bruise. So they're, not only are they itchy, but they're painful, and they are extremely, extremely painful. And so the Xolair injection actually helps me. I get it I can get it, I do it like 1 to 2 months. I try to go on average 2 months. And I was going on 2.5 months. So they were starting to come, and it was time. So I call my allergist, and office completely closed. There's a message saying we are closed due to coronavirus. Please message us in the portal. So message them in the portal and say, I need to come in and get my Xolair injection. Are you guys open for certain hours? I get a response back, and they say, no, we're completely closed until June. And so then I think, well, they can't be completely closed. I understand if they're doing teleconferences for, appointments, if they're spacing them out, if they only have one location. So I write back and I say, okay. I said, is there any satellite locations, or where, is there anywhere I can get my injection? Hear back from the nurse again. And she says, at this time, all of our offices are closed. If you find a place that can give it to you, we can send the medication and try to set that up for you. So, lucky for me, I guess, or maybe not so lucky, I have been to so many different specialists outside of the state, inside of the state. So I start calling up 2 of the other allergists that I've gotten second opinions from, and let them know the situation. And they go, oh yeah, of course we're open, for Xolair and allergy shots. And Xolair is not only for the urticaria, but it's also for asthma patients. And so they go, yeah, if you're on Xolair, you definitely need to get that. And I said, yeah, you're telling me. And so they say, okay, well, if you can have your doctor set up, mail of your medication and fax over your last appointment summary. And I was like, sure. So here I go again, emailing in the portal the nurse and saying, can you please, 1, mail my medication to this doctor, 2, fax over my last summary from my doctor. So then I get a response back immediately, and they say, okay, I will fax over your summary in the next hour. And as far as the medication, I'm gonna have to talk to my manager because nobody's in the office, and so we'll have to see if we can do that. Sure enough, within the hour, I get a message from the manager saying, can you come in tomorrow to our Escondido office and get your Xolair injection there? Yes, of course, that's what I've been trying to do. So turns out there's just so much confusion among the nurses, the doctors, the health staff, and I can't blame it all on them. I think there just needs to be more communication. Obviously, they're dealing with a lot too. They're on the front lines, and it's just frustrating for me though, because I also need my care. We all need our care, and I understand that there's going to be modifications. So the way it worked was, when I did go in, I had to go to the front of the building and I had to answer a bunch of questions, whether I had a cough, whether I had been feeling ill, and then they took my temperature, which was good, so that people aren't going in there sick. And then I get into the waiting room, and there's only 2 other people, including myself, and so they had only scheduled 2 people at that time, which was perfect, because then we could practice the social distancing. And it was only me and the nurse there, and so the likelihood of getting sick at that point was reduced. And I think that's the way it should be, but you still need to get your medications. Another thing is that I'm supposed to be trying a new migraine medication that is approved now, and it's supposed to be coming out anytime this month. Unfortunately, due to all that's going on right now, it may be pushed back because we're dealing with other things right now. And so unfortunately that kind of pushes back my progress and, hampers, my me getting the treatments that I need in order to try to get better and get into a more healthy state. And so I think that's where it affects me most. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know how it's been affecting you, if it's been affecting you. I do know that I'm probably a little bit more autoimmune suppressed than others because I do have other chronic conditions. As I mentioned in my previous video, I do have ulcerative colitis. And so, that could affect me slightly. But am I worried about contracting coronavirus? Sure. I mean, I don't, nobody wants to get that. Am I worried about it killing me? Probably not. I'm more worried about my comorbidities, I'm more worried about me concentrating so much on my migraines that I'm not concentrating too much on my ulcerative colitis, that I am due for a colonoscopy, that I might get colon cancer, that I take so many medications that it could be hurting my liver and my kidneys. I've also, drug interactions. That's a serious thing. My blood pressure is extremely low. And so there's been some real scares, and I've had to go to the ER, on multiple occasions. So those I think are more worrisome than anything else is, dealing with my health issues. And I also wanted to do a shout out to those who have helped me with getting groceries during my worst of times. I've had friends actually take me to the grocery store and help me get groceries when I haven't been able to drive because I've had vertigo, I had a broken foot on top of my migraines, and so being able to help your friends and family, that's another thing you can do is help them get groceries if they're not able to, or if you're not able to do delivery services. So. Other than that, like I said, please, I want to hear from you guys, and I think that's all I have for now. So thank you guys for checking out the Migraine Scoop, and please subscribe below.